Hey Tarot people, it's Tarot Tuesday again. Today I'm going to talk about the number 8 card and its rider-weight position, the Strength card. And as I get into details about that, I'm going to build on the hero's journey from the time we started the series in Tarot Tuesdays at the beginning of the Major Arcana. And I'm going to start to build the picture towards the episode I'm going to do next week on the nature of the Hermit. And the Hermit is the number 9 card numerologically. It's the end of a major cycle. So this development process and journey of the Fool from the Magician through the Hermit is really the story of the development of the individual psyche. So it's your story and it's my story and it's the story of everybody around us and our capacity to grow and evolve as human beings. Stay tuned. Hey, my name is Shannon Douglas. I'm the author of the forthcoming book, Chasing Quicksilver. And I would love to get your feedback on this video as we go along, so you may be triggered or made to feel really curious about an idea that's coming along, or you may disagree with something. And that's when you'll know that you can put a comment and let me know kind of how you're processing and experiencing the video. I'd really appreciate the thumbs up, or if you really don't like it, the thumbs down. And on we go today with the story of the number 8. All right, my name is Shannon Douglas. A number of weeks ago, I started the journey of the Major Arcana, the Fool's journey from the 0 card up through the Magician, the Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, and on to number 8, Strength. And along the way, we met the major influences of Mom and Dad in the material world and the what we call the somatic world and the psychic world, or the material world and the mental world. And then we encountered the major archetypes of mother and father, of mama and papa. And as we get to know mom and pop, along comes society and the structures and the cultural framework that we exist in the Hierophant, and we start to develop and grow as human beings. And along we get to number 6. And number 6, we start to get into some esoteric psychic structures. I did a video that I'm going to link up here for my soul mapping series about the axis mundi. That's the vertical column of the soul. So if you're doing a reading in tarot and you're reading the Celtic cross, I have always been taught and have always read the topmost part of the cross is the higher self, or the angel card, and the card beneath it at the bottom as the unconscious mind, or the dream world, and the conscious mind in the middle. That is the axis mundi in tarot. And the Lover's card reflects the axis mundi. The male card in the Rider-Waite, or the male figure in the Rider-Waite card, is looking at the female, the Adam figure looking at the Eve figure, and she is looking up behind her towards the angel, and that's the superconscious mind. And that is really, here's a big secret, that is really the only way for us to access higher spiritual experiences. We need to embark on a journey through the unconscious mind and all of the energies and structures and forces there in order to access our higher spiritual capacity and our true connection with the divine. And the way to do that is to go through the dark forest in the hero's journey. That can be a scary one. In any case, we learn kind of the structure that we have a conscious mind, we have an ego, we have this unconscious mind that influences in ways that we don't always expect or understand, emotional responses, thoughts, and memories coming up into mind, and that's really a distraction. And so one of the tricks or keys to getting from the conscious state through the unconscious state to the superconscious state, which is the process of meditation. Meditation is to become aware of the thoughts and feelings that arise from the unconscious and the things with energetic charges, like traumas and memories and negative experiences or big learnings that we've had. And we need to navigate through that unconscious space in order to connect with our self. And the only way that we can connect with ourself is to transcend this idea of the Hierophant, where we live in a cult, right? Cult is the root of the word culture. Cult is the root of culture, and the Lover's card is the first inclination that we are our own people. And it's not until we become our own person, if I can layer this at a slightly more intimate or immediate kind of exchange, is not until we get to that point in our lives where we can relate to other people in a meaningful way. where we can start to build a relationship, a love relationship, or an intimate partner relationship, because otherwise we're just running everybody else's scripts. Now, then we get to the Chariot card, and in the Rider-Waite, it's a black lion and a white lion. The story of Plato, the philosopher, is it's a black horse and a white horse, or a willful, spiteful, arrogant horse, and a virtuous and diligent and focused horse. And we each have those competing instincts within us, like a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. And so the Chariot card is about integrating those forces, but recognizing all the different influences that we have within the unconscious mind. And they actually have some personalities. We know their personalities from the gods, if we follow mythology. I've talked about this in my Axis Mundi video, actually my As Above and So Below video in soul mapping, where we actually have these 5 personality traits called the Big 5 personality. In tarot, we know that as the 4 elements and the 4 suits. So earth, water, fire, and air. The coins, the cups, the swords, and the wands are these 4 types of personality. Same sort of model as this what's called the Big 5, but we can look at the planetary archetypes: Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn from mythic tradition, and we know their stories. We act them out, and our unconscious mind is sort of framed or lumped into those categories. Those are our drives and our motivators in life, based on where we are in the spectrum. So we could be very open or high openness, or very low trait openness. We could be very agreeable or trait agreeable. We could be very trait disagreeable. And depending where we are on those slider bars, determines our personality of the world. Now, those parts can get into conflict, and that's where those 2 horses come in. So the esoteric medicine of the 7 card is that we integrate ourselves. And Carl Jung would call this integrating the shadow. Start to recognize that we have these impulses that sometimes we want to reject, actually, and we project the shadow onto other people instead of recognizing that it's actually coming from inside. That brings us to the Strength card. And one of my favorite stories about confidence and developing confidence and developing an individual sense of power and purpose in life comes from a quote from Stephen R. Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I read a book by him called, I think it was First Things First. No, it was about principles and values. And he said, we have to have private victory before we have public victory. If you don't have private victory, you can't have public victory. And the number 8 card, the Strength, is really deeply about that private victory. It is about us having tested our boundaries. So if we think again about the Major Arcana in their progression, telling the story of life and our development, we have to be tested a little bit in life. We've got to be able to know what our strength is, what our boundaries are. We have to be able to incorporate this notion of private victory. I need to have those victories. Or if you're reading for a client, it may be that someone needs to ritualize the victory and make a ceremony around a victory that existed, so that they can bring it into themselves and they can make that a part of them, of who they are. And as we develop a consistent pattern of reinforcing private victories, and what I mean by that is, hey, I want to set a goal. I want to do a tarot video every week, and I want to keep it going, because I've heard from lots of communities online that people are asking for a good tarot podcast. And so I thought about that for a while, and I set a goal, and I have a structure now where I'm recording well in advance on the subject, and I feel very confident. Even though I can't see you as a viewer and can't interact with you directly, I feel very confident that I have a process and a setup, and I've met my deadlines and my goals in order to make this happen, because I feel compelled to share it. So this Strength card is really about finding presence, starting to find your individuality, having integrated the self, move towards the individuated self, as Carl Jung described it. through the individuation process, but there's still another step in the Fool's journey through the bottom end of the Major Arcana before we get to the real Wheel of Fortune and everything turns upside down. That is the Hermit card, and the Hermit card is a huge archetype, and I'm going to talk about that at length in my next Tarot Tuesday video. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and stay tuned on Tuesday for me to put up the next episode in the journey.